Hey, I know you are here to see the interview with Sarah Kleiner, but I wanted to give a quick word of introduction. This channel is based on carnivore, eating a nutrient-dense, animal-based diet without carbohydrates because they are not necessary, and that is focused on eating foods that will nourish our bodies. Why? Because that is what changed my life. That is how I lost 120 pounds. That is how I stopped having boils. That is how I stopped having anxiety and started feeling amazing. A carnivore diet. So if you have not cut out processed foods, chemically made in a factory junk that is devoid of nutrition, please start there. Please cut that mess out. And if you need help doing that, because they are highly addictive foods, I would love to have you in my groups. I've worked with literally thousands of people in my coaching groups for the past 2 years. I would love to work with you. So I first want to fully acknowledge that for some people like myself, that is the primary and maybe only major change that has to be made in order for health to drastically improve. That is the foundation. Our food is foundational to our healing. Please start there. If you have already done that, you are eating a carnivore diet, and maybe you've had some improvements, but you're still experiencing maybe sleep problems, maybe trouble feeling satisfied or full, trouble losing weight, you're still having some struggles, please stick around for this interview. We will discuss circadian rhythm, leptin, the impact that it plays on our satiety and our weight, and ways to improve our leptin levels. So I do think this is all very important, but please get your nutritional foundation laid first. I would start there. We will discuss many products. I am not sponsored or paid by any of them. I also want to say that, in my opinion, the best products you could possibly use are real whole cuts of meat, sunshine, fresh air, walking, push-ups, squats. These things are free. Walking in the grass, free. Getting good sleep, free. There are so many amazing things that you can do for your health that cost nothing. So I would start with those things, and then please listen to Sarah. She has made incredible changes in her own health and in her clients' health, using some free stuff, using some products, and also on working with their relationship to light. So I hope this interview is helpful to you. Thanks for being here. If you are willing, hit like, subscribe, share it with somebody that you think could benefit, and I hope you're having a great day. Bye. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my Zero Carb Life. I'm Kelly Hogan, and I have a good friend here today that I cannot believe this is the first time on this channel, because she and I have been friends now really since around the beginning of 2020, I think. Is that?
Yep. Yeah.
I know I've been on your channel and we've talked, oh my gosh, if we were to print out our DMs through the 3 years, it'd be long. We've talked a lot. I watch you a lot. I respect you a lot. And I certainly send out your links and mention your work in my groups frequently. So what an honor. Thank you for being here, Sarah.
Thank you, Kelly. I feel the same way about you and just love you, your positivity, your beauty, everything just radiates through. And it's just a pleasure to have known you these last 3 years. And I feel like it's one of those friendships I'll have for many, many, many years. So thank you for bringing me here.
Oh, that's so kind. I keep telling Sarah, I keep saying, I'm going to show up one day at
my she shed.
Her she shed. Tell us a few of the things you have out there, other than the red light, I know.
Yeah, I got a big red light, but I also have a sauna, which most people are like, yay, love sauna. But I have a cold plunge tub that it's right now it's set to 37 degrees. So it's for ice bathing.
Yeah, I've done one ice bath. It was much easier than I thought it would be. Mm-hmm. But I also haven't repeated it. But I've got a lot of friends who are doing it frequently because it was so helpful to them.
Linda's doing it a lot now. The carnitarian, she's doing them now. She says they're helping with her issues with lipedema, any swellings, kind of stuff she's got going on in her legs. And she tried it a couple times and now she's hooked. So it's one of those things you're like, no way. I'm never going to do that. That sounds horrible. And then you try it and you're like, this isn't so bad. And I actually feel amazing after this. Then you get a cold plunge tub in your
Right.
yard.
Next thing you know, there's a she shed, and then a fellow carnivore knocking, saying, "Hey, can I hang out, Sarah?" That's what I want to do. Just bring James over to the your James, not mine. Bring James over to the she shed, and we'll just hang out. Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm in. I'm totally in. Yes.
I love it. Just bounce babies and sit in the red light and take turns in the ice bath. That sounds like a good time. One of the main reasons I wanted to have you on today, Sarah, is because I keep getting group members who work with you also. I know we've got quite a bit of overlap, who are saying, you know what? I decided to try one of her courses, and I wasn't sure what this all had to do with light and weight and health, but I'm feeling better, I'm sleeping better, and I'm losing weight. So I was like, okay, let's talk, Sarah Kleiner. What got you started going down this path in the first place?
Yeah. So I decided at the age of 40 that I wanted to have another baby. And I thought everything's optimized, my health, everything is great, in great shape. And essentially it wasn't as optimized as I thought it was. I suffered from miscarriages to the point where I was like, I don't want to go through miscarriages anymore. This is so horrible. And it just wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. And so we tried IVF thinking it was going to be like a sure thing. And that didn't even work, which is a very expensive and emotional process. And so I finally, this information had been presented to me a few years ago about how light really affects our hormones. It affects the signaling, because hormones are just messengers, and the hypothalamus, the brain, is what tells these hormones to go to the correct places at the correct time. So this information was presented to me years ago, and it wasn't until I went through this horrible experience with infertility that I decided to give it a shot. And I met Dr. Jack Cruz. I had him on my podcast, which was mind-blowing. And he was the one who told me I needed to start learning about leptin, and I needed to fix my light environment and to help heal my mitochondria. So at that point, I was like, I had spent tons of money on supplements, tons of money on doctors. I had consulted with functional medicine doctors and different doctors pretty much all over the world, right? I had spent a lot of money on this and decided I'm not going to take any more of these supplements, or I'm going to whittle down to maybe like one or two. I was probably taking $1,000 a month worth of supplements, trying to be perfect with my diet, trying to do everything right. And so I decided to try the circadian biology, quantum biology, this lifestyle, and gave birth to my son, James, at age 43, healthy, happy little baby, loves meat. Oh my gosh. Won't touch the purees, only loves meat. And so he's doing fabulous. But that whole experience just really shifted how I look at everything. So I was just trying to get pregnant. I wasn't trying to lose weight. But I ended up losing 30 pounds without trying, and getting pregnant. And then I was doing this with my clients at the same time. And a lot of them were, and a lot of my clients are perimenopause and menopause. I get a lot of those women in perimenopause, menopause, and they're just like doing everything so perfectly with the diet, and it's not working. So I started implementing this stuff with them and got a lot of them kind of on board with me. They were all losing weight. They were all sleeping through the night for the first time in 20 years. They were all like having these amazing results, and they weren't taking all these crazy supplements. And it was just like, they were just doing these protocols with me. And so I've been a huge believer in this stuff since that time. And I'm still doing it, and don't plan on, it's one of those things, once you start doing it, you're like, I don't ever want to stop. Like, why would I go back to my old ways? So that's really what was the shift for me that allowed me to be open to this information, was going through that really painful experience and then having it just like work so fast,
Well, you just said what pulls at my heartstrings more than, well, two things. First of all, I did have some issues with getting pregnant at one point. So anytime there's a talk of, oh my gosh, how can my body keep a baby and make a baby? Like, that pulls at my heart. But the second thing is the women out there who are doing everything they know.
They're being so strict. They're being so strict. Yeah. Yep.
They have my heart. Me too. Those are my people, because It's one thing to work with somebody who says, I'm still eating junk and it's just, I'm not ready
Right.
to cut it out. Okay. I love to work with those folks too. Let's work on it. But the folks who say, I've already cut out sugar, I'm moving, I'm walking, I'm lifting weights, I'm eating only meat. And you're like, oh, now what?
And a lot of them have cut their calories down too. A lot of them have gotten to tracking and they're like 1,200 calories a day and they're still not having progress. And that's when I'm like, yeah, it's leptin and it's your mitochondria. These are the two things that we need to stop focusing on the calories and all this other stuff. We need to focus on these things to get the energy management system of your body operating properly, because it's not, at this point, it's not a nutrition issue. Most likely, it's more likely the hormonal system as well as your mitochondria that we need to optimize.
Okay. Now, I do want to throw out here that you still very clearly believe that nutrition, it's not like, oh, now we fixed the light issue. So now
and I could go eat candy bars.
we eat
No.
Doritos now. No, you are still very right. Keep out the junk.
Yeah.
We got to fix this thing. But stopping there, if it's not working, we're not okay with that. So, Sarah, I would love for people to have at least a few, as many as you can give us, things that people can go today and think, what can I do? What can I change? Some ideas, takeaways.
The way you kind of book into your day is super, super, super important, because understanding again that hormones are these messengers that our brain, the HPA axis is what is in control. It's not some random event. I feel like too many practitioners are like, it's a random thing where your hormones start malfunctioning. No, they are receiving incorrect and or confusing signals. And so we were living outdoors, most of us, for, since the beginning of time. We lived outdoors. Our bodies were synced up with the sun, with the moon. The sun comes up at a little bit of a different time every day, the entire year, sets a little bit of, it's not it's not the same thing every day, right? So what is important is your morning routine is so, so important. And a lot of people have a tendency to wake up first thing and look at the phone. Phone's number one, the phone's charging beside the bed next to your head and vital organs. And then you look at it.
Yep.
What that does is it actually elevates your cortisol far beyond what it's supposed to be at that time of day, because light is a cue for your brain to begin chemical hormonal processes, really. And so light coming in through your eyes actually says, hey, it is 7 a.m., 7:30, whatever. Let's make the appropriate amount of cortisol for this time of day. That usually happens sunrise, right? Turn off melatonin completely. Let's really ramp up the cortisol production in a healthy, natural way, right? It's supposed to be a bit higher in the morning, but not like spiking sky high like a lot of us do.
Right.
And then UVA light is this window of time after sunrise. It's about 45 minutes after sunrise usually.
Right.
You want to get out there for a little bit, naked eyes, no glasses, contacts, sunglasses, any of that. And it's going to tell your body, let's start making thyroid hormones, sex hormones, all these hormones. Let's begin production of those. And so when you're looking at your phone, right, it's a signal, and the signal says it is noon and it's the middle of June right now. Please catch up. Catch up.
Oh, okay.
And so just that little habit right there of not looking at your phone first thing, trying to go outside, peek at the sun as sunrise is coming up, and you don't have to look straight at it. You don't have to do this perfect routine. If there's mountains and there's trees and there's clouds and there's rain in the way, it does not matter. All of the signals that our bodies need can break through clouds, break through rain, get through mountains and trees and buildings and all that stuff. Literally, all you have to do is pop your head outdoors.
Okay.
You can't get it through a window because a window is going to block out some of the wavelengths that you need for proper signaling. So if you have a screen, if you could just open the window, it can get through the screen. It only blocks like 5% or so with the screen. And you don't need hours. You don't have to go out there for hours. Literally 30 seconds, a minute, just do your best. I feel like we set this bar of perfection. If I can't spend sunrise outside barefoot in my lawn, I'm just not going to do it at all.
Yes.
It's a cumulative thing. So if you only got 30 seconds today, but let's say you got 10 minutes tomorrow, it's going to even out, right? It's going to be this cumulative thing. So what you really want to do is try to just get out there for a little bit of sunrise. And then again, that second window is UVA. UVA, I tell people, if you can prioritize a little more UVA, then that is really where a lot of the magic happens. But I will keep a pair of blue blockers beside my bed, and I keep the yellow or orange ones beside the bed because I really can't see to get around the house with the red ones. And I put those on, I'll just pop those on and take them off, go outside for as long as I can. I've got a baby and I have a 15-year-old daughter with special needs. So some days are just like, okay, this is going to be chaotic. It is what it is. Still going to poke my head out, right?
Yes.
And if you're happen to be driving at that time, open your window or open your sunroof, even better. You can still get the signal in your car through an open window. You have to be in your house. If you can crack or open a window, light can travel through that window. So that morning routine is super important. And then I always tell people, you know, I'm not anti-fasting, so to say, but if you have leptin resistance and if you have this improper signaling happening, I really, really want you to eat a breakfast. And I recommend a carnivore breakfast, honestly, with protein and fat to stabilize your blood sugar. You really need to, and eating is another circadian signal. It's called a Zeitgeber. So it's a secondary circadian signal. So light carnivore breakfast, right? A little nice hydration in there at some point, maybe some mineral water, you're good to go, right? And then if you want to have your coffee after you've been outside, seen sun, and eaten breakfast and hydrated. Just can't let perfect be the enemy of good with any of this stuff, right?
I heard you say before, it was a podcast with these two really nice ladies about how moms can incorporate this into their day. So, you know, even a minute in the morning would be better than nothing. So I started just doing what I call a little sky break on the way out to the van, in the midst of saying, come on, guys, we got to go. Instead of sitting in the van while I roll down the window and fuss, I'm just standing out there. We've got a ridge, a mountain ridge, and it does block the actual sun, but obviously it's not pitch dark. So you're right. Light is coming over the mountain. And I just let the light come to my eyeballs and shine on my face. And I use it as a time to just say, thank you, God, for this day. Thank you for the sun. Have a moment of gratitude. And then I holler at the kids one more time and we get in the van and go. But when it's not cold, I've started rolling my window down, like you said. A couple other things that I have already changed for months now because of you. You taught me how to boop, 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 tie. The 3-click trick.
Yay. Red phone screen.
So it doesn't look as pretty.
No, you got to take it off if you're going to post on Instagram or something, because you're like, what color is this?
You've got to approve it first, right? Like, let me see what this is going to look like to the rest of humanity. But it's almost good that it's not as pretty because you're less addicted. It's less addicting all day long. But then, like you said, and I keep reminding myself, it's like you're staring into the face of the sun, even if it's dark outside and you're supposed to be falling asleep. So that's not good. Okay, so
and here's the other thing with that unfiltered blue light is it really causes myopia. There are a lot of studies that show that unfiltered blue light from those screens will cause myopia. So will start to degrade your eyesight. And that was one of the most amazing things for me, a side effect of all of this, because I started implementing blue blockers at night, which we can also talk about. But I turned 40, you know, and I'm like looking at the TV and I'm like, I cannot read that. It was across the room. There's something on TV. I couldn't read it. I'm like, oh no, I guess I'm going to have to go get a prescription for glasses. And right around that same time, I started implementing all these protocols, wearing blue blockers, turning phones, you know, just making those changes. And just very quickly, within about 3 months, I noticed that my eyesight improved. And this is repeatable. It's not just me. I know eye doctors that actually use this protocol with their patients to improve eyesight.
Dr. Lisa Wiedemann, she's a carnivore, she's an eye
Mhm.
doctor, and she's pretty into working on her circadian stuff and getting outside every morning. She's been posting for quite a while now. So that's cool to see that she backs that up as well.
Definitely. Yeah. And I saw she even did a post on sunglasses not being optimal, which I was like, yay, another eye doctor is on board
Yeah.
to understand about the sunglasses and the hormonal issues that those can cause as well. My problem with the sunglasses is which this never really happens anymore, but when I was pregnant, I used to go for a sunrise walk every day because my daughter is a teenager. She sleeps in now. So I would have the time to be out on a walk pregnant. And I would see people out at sunrise walking, and I'm like, you're doing great. And then I realized they're wearing sunglasses, and I'm like, no,
Oh,
oh, you just ruined it.
yeah.
Because you're not getting that hormonal signaling. It's like putting a tarp on top of a plant and wondering why it's not growing.
Oh, that's a
I mean,
good
that's
one.
yeah. Why is this not growing? Well, you got a tarp on top of it, right? Same thing with sunglasses over our eyes. We're not getting the proper signals that we need.
I had a group member say, after I've heard you say many times that the modern windows in our cars and our homes block a lot of the very important signals. And I passed that along and I believed you. I really did. But this lady really confirmed. She said, yes, I know that is true because my transition lenses never change if I'm looking at the sun through a window. Transition lenses are
Oh yeah.
triggered by actual
Yep.
sunlight. And I thought, that's true. Then I got to thinking about it more. When I was a kid, furniture was always faded. Like our grandparents,
Oh
their
yeah.
furniture
Yep.
used to actually fade because of sun in a window.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a
Not
problem
anymore.
anymore. No,
No, not anymore.
something clicked. And I started, okay, we're going to roll down the windows some more. I did buy the glasses. I wear the Spectra
Spectra 479. Yep,
479. Yes. And those are so affordable.
they are. That's what I tell people to get. Like I have a couple of nicer brands that I work with, Viva Rays and Raw Optics. But you know what? Everyone doesn't want to spend that sort of money or have that sort of money to spend on blue blockers, right? And in Spectra 479, I've tested those with a spectrometer. So a spectrometer is an instrument that you can actually see what is being blocked out. Spectra 479 is legit. That's how you can tell a window in your car or your home is only it's actually allowing a ton of blue light through, but not letting in the good rays like red, infrared, and some of that UV is blocked out. So you can measure with a spectrometer and see a lot of those beneficial rays are blocked out. So if there's you don't want to spend a bunch of money, I
I
always
think
send people to those.
about $35. All right. So far, we are having as little screen time as possible, but especially first thing in the morning. If you're going
Yes.
to look at a phone before sunrise, have their phone on red, and then even bonus points if
I
you
wear blue blockers too. Yeah. Because
I do.
sometimes you have to. Sometimes there's a kid thing. You got to check your email. And I try my hardest to stay off of social media before 9 o'clock. I try to do that. I don't always do a great job at that, but because in sunlight in the morning, UVA is where your neurotransmitters are also naturally synthesized, dopamine, serotonin, all of those things. You get a natural production of those in that morning light. And if we're on social media and those dopamine hits, or maybe somebody says something really mean in a comment, and that never happens to you, I'm sure, that is really messing with your brain, your neurotransmitters. And so that's why I try to not get on those things until after I've really had to set my circadian rhythm in a really strong way. And then I'm like, okay, and I'll come sit outside here and start to go through DMs and things like that.
Yeah. I know you said that after sunrise, about 45 minutes after sunrise is a really important time to go back. But should people, if possible, do it one time before that?
So sunrise, you can find out when that is. Usually your phone will tell you, the weather app will tell you what time that is, but there's also an app called the D-Minder app, which is also really important when you do want to start practicing some safe sun exposure as well, to kind of gauge how much of that is going to work for you. But the D-Minder app will tell you sunrise, and that is when the sun is between 0 and 10 degrees. So the sun, rises and sets. So 0 and 10 degrees is sunrise. UVA window is 10 to 30 degrees in the morning, right? Because in the winter, sometimes it doesn't get above 30 degrees in certain latitudes. They don't get UVB. But UVA is 10 to 30. And again, that's in the DMinder app. And you want to go out between 0 and 10 for a little bit.
Okay.
And then again, between 10 and 30. And so if someone has time to take a morning walk, I'm always like, if you can prioritize the UVA time as your morning walk, then I love that, because that's, do your best, do whatever you can. Any kind of morning sun signal is going to be amazing. But if you can take a walk during UVA, that is really, really, really going to be great for your hormones and for setting that strong circadian rhythm for the day. And then breakfast, I like that carnivore breakfast within about an hour of sunrise. Now, I know a lot of people are going to ask, what happens if I wake up before sunrise? What do I do? This is where, and this is what I have a lot of my, I have a lot of my moms that this is my time, and I get up and I work out and I do this and that, and I'm running myself around and accomplish it all before the kids wake up. I get it. But if you have hormonal imbalances, if you're stuck with your weight loss and nothing's working, I really recommend that you take your morning time and make it a little bit more restorative. So put on a pair of blue blockers when you wake up if the sun's not up yet, probably yellow or orange, so you can see to get around. The red ones, you're probably going to bump into everything and can't see much. And do something, peaceful, devotional, read, journal, pray. That's what I do if I'm up, because wintertime, sometimes I'll be up and I'll spend some time in prayer, and I'll spend some time reading something inspirational to me. Maybe that's Bible verse, maybe it's a book, maybe, so that's a really beautiful time for, yes, it's you time. But I don't really love women, especially doing a fasted workout, getting their cortisol way up too high, can cause blood sugar imbalances and just really, really make things harder. Even though it sounds like counterintuitive to do less to get more, that's really, really what I advise. And I see it work. I see it really work for women to release inflammation, improve sleep, improve energy, mood, all of that stuff, and get the needle moving with weight. So if you are up and it's dark and the sun hasn't come up yet, I just pop on a pair of blue blockers and try to be a little more restorative. A little red light therapy, you can do a little bit of that. And then go outside and get that morning signal as soon as you can.
If you had to go into a convenience store or grocery store right now and purchase water, what would you buy for yourself?
Gold standard, I would try to get Mountain Valley spring water in glass.
Okay.
If they didn't have that, I would look for like an Icelandic or a Voss water. If they didn't have that, I would do an Avion.
Is there a mineral water? San Pellegrino? Isn't that mineral?
Yeah, I think that one's totally fine. Yeah. San Pellegrino,
I like that.
Perrier.
Okay.
Yeah.
I enjoy
absolutely.
those. Great. I do have a red light box, and I have emphasized that it's sometimes more than others. Like right after I had COVID, I was not feeling great. So when people ask me, what do you think of your red light? Like, it's very hard for me to say, because if you are feeling very good and you sit in front of a red light, you are probably still going to be feeling very good. It's not a big difference. But I was not feeling very good right after I had a virus, and I did feel like it was helpful. My husband will sit in front of it, and he believes in nothing except for the Lord himself, and he will sit in front of it when his back hurts. My dog was diagnosed with cancer, and she loves curling up in front of that when she was feeling bad. She's feeling good now. But when she was feeling bad, she liked being in front of the red light. So I do think there's something to it. When would be the number one time that you think people should sit in front of the red light if they're going to do, say, 20 minutes of it?
I like during the day when the sun is up, because we haven't even gotten to talking about night yet, but it can stop the production of melatonin, especially if you shine it on your skin after sunset. So I like, as long as the sun is up, you're good. And so it's funny, I've had people say red light therapy is not legit, it's a scam. There are actually over 6,000 scientific studies that show the effects, that red light therapy is very effective and efficient. There are hospitals that are now using it in recovery rooms. There are doctors that are using it in open heart surgery and brain surgery. It's being adopted slowly. In the next 10 years, I think it's going to be mainstream. I get the question all the time, like, well, I have this, how long should I sit in front of it? How often should I do it? A general rule I give people about red light therapy is no more than 20 minutes total a day. I actually tell people to start out at about 10 minutes a day and see how you feel, and no more than 5 days a week. It's kind of like exercise. You don't want to do it every single day.
Okay.
You got to give your body a little break from it. And it's in this like upside down U-shaped curve. So there's a point where if you don't do enough of it, it's not going to make a difference. If you do just the right amount, it's going to make a good difference. And if you do too much of it, it could actually not make a difference. So I've had people say, oh, I'm doing 20 minutes twice a day. I'm like, oh, no, you're doing too much. You can move it around to all those places on your body, and just don't do more than 20 minutes total and no more than 5 days a week.
Oh, I have never heard that, which is my own fault. I'm sure you've said it. I just have not heard that part. That's good.
Yeah.
You said we haven't talked much about night yet. What would be your top things to tell people regarding nighttime?
You gotta wear the blue blockers because melatonin is essential, and not the type of melatonin that you take in a supplement form. It doesn't do the same thing when it's going through your gut. We are supposed to make melatonin subcellularly, so all throughout the mitochondria, as well as the pineal gland, in response to darkness. And what is associated with artificial light at night, which is like your TV, phone screen, overhead lights, all that stuff. This is very well documented. All hormonal cancers, breast, thyroid, prostate cancers are all very heavily associated with artificial light at night, as well as diabetes, type 2 diabetes, as well as Alzheimer's, anxiety, depression, obesity, all of these things. If you're like, yeah, right, Sarah, today I want you to go into Google and type in breast cancer and artificial light at night study. Go for it. And it's going to pull up a ton of stuff. And so why is this? Is because artificial light at night blocks the production of melatonin, and we need melatonin. Everyone talks in the carnivore and keto world about autophagy and apoptosis, which is basically cell cleaning and then cell death. We don't want cells to live on to infinity. That's what creates cancer. So in order for the cell death and this autophagy, this kind of self-cleaning thing to happen, apoptosis and autophagy, we have to have melatonin. Melatonin is what drives these processes. So again, to get melatonin, to make melatonin, it's important to get some sunlight on your skin during the day, because that creates that subcellular melatonin that your mitochondria make through that near infrared light. So red light therapy panel can also help you with subcellular melatonin. And the pineal melatonin is made in response to that darkness. When you have on, remember, the signal of the light coming in through our eyes is what tells our body to make cortisol. It's blue light specifically that tells our body to make cortisol. And when you are outside, the sun goes in this very specific way, and it's the blue light that signals our body to make cortisol in this beautiful diurnal pattern that we're supposed to have, right? That's how our bodies were beautifully and wonderfully made, to correspond with the sun and that cortisol. So if you're telling your body at 9 o'clock at night, it's noon in the middle of June because you've got your phone in your face, right? Or you're watching the TV without blue blockers, then your body's still making cortisol. Cortisol opposes melatonin. And so you cannot make them at the same time. And you need that melatonin production in order for your mitochondria to be healthy, to improve that energy management system in your body. You've got to have healthy, efficient mitochondria. And then again, you want the proper hormonal patterns in order to balance your hormones. Leptin, what I talk about all the time, it docks to the hypothalamus, but it's supposed to dock between 12 and 2. And it basically gives your brain a report of how much stored energy you have on your body, right? Oh, yes. So if this does not happen, if leptin's not docking the hypothalamus because you got artificial light at night on, you're not making enough melatonin, you're not getting into that place of sleep you need for leptin to give its report. This is directly tied to thyroid issues because your body, again, is beautifully and fearfully made. I always say that nature does not make mistakes. God did not make a mistake the way that he created us.
Right.
And if you are trying to go against this divine plan, then this whole process can't happen. Your thyroid will downregulate. You will begin to have thyroid issues. Leptin signals your immune system. So a lot of people struggle with autoimmune issues because, again, leptin signaling is not happening. The weight loss, resistance, thyroid, all of these things are tied to this circadian hormone not getting to do its job at night. So this is why I harp on leptin all the time and talk about the importance of circadian rhythms all the time, because we're looking at cancer prevention, we're looking at preventing autoimmune conditions, we're looking at getting our weight stabilized, and then mood, depression, anxiety, all of these things, ADHD, right? There's a tie to artificial light at night. It's so important that we really understand the importance of these things. They're not woo-woo and they're not fringe. They're actually very scientifically based and can be proven. But it's, it's not sexy, and it's doesn't involve taking a bunch of supplements and doing some weird detox protocol. It's just getting back to the way that we were designed, right?
Yes. And anybody that makes fun of, and some people will get kind of snarky about these things. And I'm like, are you really being snarky about the idea that humans need light and fresh air? Also, I did see mainstream. There was an article about the more time, this was on adolescents, the study, the more time adolescents spend after, I think it was 8 p.m., but the later they go with any type of screen time, video, the higher the chances were for depression, anxiety, suicide rates go up. Everything is worse. And I think in our souls, we know that to be true, even about our own selves. I feel that.
Oh, yeah.
I know it to be true. But it's sometimes just hearing things enough times to do something about it.
Nighttime is so important for keeping the electronics away from us. And if you can, flip off your Wi-Fi, because remember what I said about melatonin, the pineal gland, non-native EMF, Wi-Fi, they actually emit light, but we can't see it with our eyes, but our pineal gland can sense it. So these things can actually inhibit, slow down the production of melatonin, which again, we need for optimal repair, to prevent these cancers, to stabilize our weight, all of these things, so important. And so that is why another reason I harp on, just if you can turn the Wi-Fi off, if you have to have your phone in your bedroom at night, please have it like way across the room. Don't plug it in next to your body. Just plan it. All this stuff takes planning, and then you create routines, and it's like easy, right? Just kind of like switching to a new way of eating. It's hard at first, and you're like, but once you kind of get your routines in place, it's just second nature. Yeah. I mean, I feel like we covered so many great things. It's really just changing your morning routine around, and then at night, really being mindful of that artificial light at night. Get some blue blockers and try to keep it as simple as you can, and make changes slowly. Something as simple as just putting your feet on the earth or your hands on the earth, it helps to charge your body and move energy into your body, because the earth's surface is magnetic and our bodies are magnetic. We run on a DC electric current. And when you put your body to the earth, it actually draws electrons into your body. They've shown 45 minutes a day of grounding reduces inflammation, blood pressure, so many amazing things. I've seen people cure a lot of stuff through grounding. Another simple thing, and that's one thing, you don't have to spend the whole 45 minutes out there at one time. You could do 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes. It's like, I try to tell people, make it a game. Like, how many electrons can I gather? Can I get a little burst of sunlight on my skin? Can I step outside for like 2 minutes? How often can I do this to just keep giving my body energy? And it's pretty cool how it becomes a game. And then you start, oh, wow, I feel so much better. I have so much more energy, I'm sleeping better. It's just think of it as a game.
I like that. And I like that of breaking it up. A lot of my group members right now are working on these little digestive walks. After you eat a meal, take at least a 10-minute walk.
Oh, yes.
Which does really help with digestion. But also, what if you eat your breakfast and along around that time you took a walk? Well, now you're working on circadian rhythm too. And in the evening, when you eat your dinner and you take a walk, well, now you're watching the sun set. So that's circadian rhythm. And what if at the end of your walk, you just sat down on the grass or your driveway? I'll tell you what, if people don't believe in grounding, they have probably never sat outside in the sun and eaten. I love to eat fish outside. I don't know what it is. Something about the omega-3s, the vitamin D, you're sitting on
omega-3s they're very electron rich. Very electron rich. Yeah.
I feel it.
Yes.
Like I've never even read up about that. I just know I love to take my little can of sardines or my plate of salmon and just sit outside and eat fish in the grass or on my driveway, because sometimes ants. But I love it. It feels so good. And I think if people were to just try that, feel it, they'll feel something that confirms everything you're saying. And to me, that is the best proof, is when you leave there going, wow, that does feel better. Nice.
You can tell a difference in grounding, and the blood actually starts unclumping within 30 seconds. So when we're around a lot of Wi-Fi, non-AVMF, our blood starts to kind of clump and become non-coherent. When you step out onto, even if it's just concrete, right, you will see and you'll feel within 30 seconds to a minute your parasympathetic nervous system turn on. It's pretty cool stuff. And I was skeptical until I started doing it. So yeah, just what I tell people. I had someone comment on my Instagram this morning. They were like, too simple. I was like, okay, well then don't try it. I don't care.
Do something hard then, sis. That's fine.
Go ahead. Do something really hard. Go fast for 7 days.
Right.
Don't do that. But you know, the people want the hard thing. They think they have to do the hard thing that's going to hurt them in order for it to be effective. And this is just isn't that way, because that's not how God designed us. It just isn't. Yeah.
I think a lot of us grew up hearing that we must work hard, work. Anything worth having, you must work hard for. And we have this idea that if it's going to be effective, it must be hard. But Sarah, I love these ideas. I'll put a little recap on the screen. You have courses, you have so many podcasts, and I will link to all of your stuff below. People say, where are the links? There's going to be the word more and a ... down below. Just click that. All of the links, and I'll pick out some in particular about water and share your codes as well. Thank you, my friend. First of all, thank you for being a really good human and a good friend. And secondly, for sharing tips, a lot of which are completely free. So if somebody says, I don't have that kind of money, well, good.
Yep.
A lot of it's free. Step outside.
A lot of it's free. I have a 12-page guide that's totally free called Building Your Perfect Quantum Day for Circadian Health. It's 12 pages that'll take you through all of this stuff. I have an FAQ guide that's free that talks about water. I mean, so I'll send you the links to those free guides also that people can download. And then if you want to dive deeper and do a course, I got tons of those too.
That's so awesome. Yes. Thank you, Sarah, very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.